Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the MTD Watch Series brought to you by Ask the Accountant Network, the podcast series dedicated to everything making tax digital, and is hosted by myself, Aaron Patrick, and two wonderful guests as well, co-hosts as well. But this week is all about our amazing guest, Stu. Let me just go, before we introduce Stu, let me just go through and fill in what we're supposed to be saying here. We're supposed to be saying that this is powered by the Ask the Accountant Network, covered that bit, from pricing and preparation to tools that are helping firms get ahead. I'm your host, Aaron Patrick, and joining me today is Amy Hancock, hashtag audit Amy. Amy, look at the background. It's looking very, very swish. And may I say, the audio is sounding very crisp as well.
Yes, finally, the children are back at school. So I'm in my podcast studio, aka garage. It looks a bit better than a garage. So yes, finally I can showcase hashtag audit Amy and obviously my microphone.
Good. Very ASMR, as we've already been said. That's very good. Hashtag MTD Audit Queen as well. Suzannah, the M.ICB bookkeeper. I always have to remember the M when I say it. How are you? How's your week been?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Really busy. I think everyone's in that kind of September back to school, back to doing things properly and being busy mode. And yeah, it's busy, but good.
Loving that. And hopefully one day we'll get a little hashtag MTD Queen.
I need to get a neon sign, don't I?
And speaking of neon signs, because he said he wants a neon sign one day. Stu, thank you so much for coming on our little show. First of all, for the 1% out there who don't know who you are, please give a little introduction to yourself and let us know why you're here.
Cheers, folks. Thanks for having me. I'm Stu. I'm a staff product manager at FreeAgent for our tax products. So what that essentially means is me and my team build all the things relating to compliance inside FreeAgent. So your CIS, your corporation tax, everything in that, and included in that is MTD. So fitting in today to chat about all things FreeAgent within the MTD for income tax space.
Loving it. And where are you? Are you in the office today? Are you in the?
I am. This backdrop is not my own house, but it's very much, we're in the office. We're Edinburgh HQ'd, so nice. About 50% of us in the office.
Nice. Loving that. Okay, so just finishing off this last bit we have to talk about. In the series, we'll be unpacking the true cost of MTD readiness, exposing the common pitfalls and grilling the software vendors on what's working. We'll definitely be grilling today. I hope you're prepared for that, Steve. And even dive into what isn't. We're broadcasting live across LinkedIn, YouTube and Instagram, and this episode will be available on demand on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss a moment of this new series. And if you're watching live, drop your questions and curveballs in the chat, just like Kirsty have done. So Kirsty's here and saying hello to everyone. Mahu's here as well. Good morning, good afternoon to you. And it's a cloudy and rainy London, so I've got blue skies. I hate to tell you that, but I think as you start going north, you get these nice, lovely blue skies. What about quick weather report off everyone else? What how are we doing?
Grey here.
Oh, you've got grey. Yeah. There is blue there.
I love how you're actually looking up as well.
Yeah.
What have we got? A ceiling?
Yeah, I got a skylight. I'm not just doing that for the show. There is genuinely a skylight there.
Edinburgh's not too bad today. North of the wall is usually not as great as everybody else, but I think we're holding our own today based on this weather report.
Oh. Nice. It looks like, north is nice and shiny.
Yeah,
and it
south is grim.
Just for the today. Oh, thanks, Kirsty.
Kirsty says she absolutely loves the hashtag audit Amy. Amazing. Well, normally at this part of the show, we'll go through questions and everything else, but we're going to keep them to one side only because we want to make sure that we get every ounce of information out of Stu as we possibly can. So we're gonna hold them up. We'll probably do some sort of special or something with all the questions. So keep them coming in. Remember, if you want to interact with the show and you're listening later than live, then please use the link down below in the link tree and get your questions over to us, and we'll make sure we cover them on a later show. There is a tiny bit of news, so we're going to cover some news first before we get into our showcase of FreeAgent itself. Right, who wants to tell me what the second name is? I'm not going to butcher it live on there. Ogilvy. Craig Ogilvy posted on LinkedIn, and very relevant to this one. He said some end of week stats for MTD. We have over 1.8 1,000 customers submitting quarter one updates, nearly 2,000 early 2026 mandatory submits. So really good numbers, actually. Top developers by submissions are as follows. Number 1, Intuit QuickBooks. Number 2, Xero. And number 3, FreeAgent, which is great to see. 4 Sage, 5 ClearBooks, and with a few very close behind. And then the interesting one we were talking off air, and we'll definitely get into a conversation about, is end of year tax return for 24-25 submitted by Absolute Accounting Software Limited and FreeAgent themselves. So yeah, we're going to get into talking about that. So yeah, some really good numbers there. Stu, talk to us. Right, were you surprised by these numbers? Like from your point of view, how did that look to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's nice to certainly be up there. We felt that we've been ready for a while at FreeAgent. I mean, we submitted from space months ago. We were that ready. I think that was the point, right? Showing the whole world that we're ready. So yeah, we've been less, I guess, curated as to who's going through, but we have kept it as much towards the practices, especially as HMRC are laying the track as we're chasing the track with our train. But yeah, I think the numbers are definitely positive from our perspective. As far as I understand, there's not really a difference between those top 3 in the numbers, but it's still September. Maybe by April, if we're somewhere all the way down, I might be saying different things, but I'm pretty confident we won't be.
That's amazing to hear. I mean, Amy, Suzannah, anything you want to talk about those numbers? Because I think that's positive, right? 1,800 customers. I remember when I was on the Alpha,
loads.
Wasn't there 10 of us in the UK?
It was really tiny, wasn't it? The numbers really tiny.
Yeah.
So I know I've already asked you this off air, Stu, but what kind of proportion of those submissions so far have been from business owners directly? Because obviously I know you have a lot of business owners who aren't represented by an agent using FreeAgent.
Yeah.
So it's just be interested to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So in general, I think FreeAgent splits about 40% of all of our customers work with an accountant or a bookkeeper on our practice dashboard product. So, but in terms of these numbers, I think up to about 20% are small business owners that are doing this themselves. And as I say, we've not really deliberately marketed it to them. I don't think many of the providers in the market have said, come and join as a small business owner, go and do it yourself. But we're definitely seeing there's at least some appetite, or maybe it's fear coming through. But I think that's probably going to be higher than most of the other solutions because of how friendly FreeAgent is, I guess, as a small business owner to do it yourself. But yeah, still a little bit higher than I was expecting, to be honest. I expected that to be in single digits.
Yeah, that's higher than I would have thought as well. But yeah, it's interesting to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting that because the conversations we've all had is like trying to get accountants to get their head around it and figure it out. From all the conversations we've been having on here is about making sure that your systems are in place and your billing's going to be okay and all of that sort of stuff. So I completely encourage and expect accountants to be on this beta as much as possible. For a customer to be doing it, that's huge, isn't it? Like, what do they benefit from this? Like, our biggest problem with getting customers to sign up for our beta was like trying to give them an incentive, right? And I guess there'll be a couple of them who are just trying to, be early adopters, and they want to kind of just make sure and kick the tires and everything and make sure it's working, all that sort of stuff. But that's really impressive that sort of percentages are thinking of doing it themselves, isn't it?
Totally. And to go back to your point, Aaron, on the higher numbers, I think one thing I have to do from a vendor perspective is give HMRC some credit here. I think I've worked with them long enough now to see that the last maybe year, maybe two, the shift in energy and activity and ability to do the technical stuff right and respond to queries and issue stuff has been far better than it ever has been before. And I think that might be a sign as to why these numbers are higher than, as you say, like previous betas and things like that. Like there's definitely a step change in their approach to stuff, and it's massively helpful as software vendor to be honest.
Definitely. Amy, anything you want to add to this before we move on? With this,
I mean, I was quite surprised about the individuals, but the amount of individuals that have been doing the beta themselves. Talking to a few clients that have, or potential new clients that have been doing their own self-assessment tax returns, when you explain what it actually means, this quarterly submission is, they're like, oh, okay, just like doing 5 tax returns. Now, obviously, we know it's not. But if someone's been doing their own tax returns themselves, then why would they feel like it's any different than just doing it quarterly? Obviously, we've got all these other factors to consider, and the volume for that person on their own. If they've been doing self-assessment, they feel like they can do MTD, whether it's right.
I guess if they're on a software like FreeAgent, a lot of these ones that do it themselves aren't on software, and that's part of the issue. That's part of the fear. But if they're already confidently using FreeAgent anyway for their invoicing and their bookkeeping and everything else, then it is only one kind of additional step on from that, I suppose. So it's interesting.
Absolutely. You had Amy on a previous episode talking about how this is the bookkeeping opportunity, and I think that sums it up really nicely. Of like this, the quarterly updates are the bookkeeping element, and to be on the beta, especially in the earlier days, it was very strict. You could only have certain income types. You couldn't have all these exceptions. That you'd expect the bookkeeping to be relatively straightforward for at least these first early adopters. I think it will definitely change as we get to April, but it is a polarizing opinion. The most polarizing, certainly from where I sit inside FreeAgent, is the view of what quarterly updates actually are. Are they just, it doesn't really matter, you click a button as long as your bookkeeping's update, or are these mini tax returns that you need an accountant for as well as a bookkeeper? And I think, it's a fascinating topic.
Definitely. I must admit as well, I think from your point of view, the reason your numbers would be so high, especially for the customer facing, because I would be surprised if any other platform will be, at 20%, right? And I think the reason for that would be, but from my point of view, would be that FreeAgent is a really clever way in which that they entice the customer into the ecosystem. And what I mean by that is that I'll always remember this one client that we took on FreeAgent, and we, everything was going really well. There were, your typical good vibes coming from the client, everything else. We did a set of accounts for them, filed them, they signed it, filed them, everything else. And then they booked in these really angry calls with us. What's the problem? Like, you could tell by the tone of them putting the calls in that they were not happy. And I was like, is everything okay? What's the problem? You've signed the accounts and it all felt okay. So I signed them, but you haven't submitted them, and we passed the deadline. I said, no, we have submitted them. Here's company's house, here's proof that we've submitted them, etc., etc. It's like, but I went into FreeAgent and it's not shown as filed in there. There's this perception with the way that you've built FreeAgent that everything's done in FreeAgent, right? Like, it is like this one-stop shop for clients, and I think that's was a real eye-opener for me as to kind of how much these clients are relying on that whole ecosystem, that whole area is there. So I can imagine that, from their point of view, from a client's point of view, they're in the FreeAgent ecosystem. They're like, well, of course I'm going to have to try this filing because I need this to work, because this, my whole business runs on FreeAgent, sort of thing.
Yeah, totally. And I think one thing that we've changed in the last couple of years is keeping that approach, but developing out our integration ecosystem, because that matters so much. So good examples here are, we are absolutely comfortable in FreeAgent. If you don't want to file your tax return, your corporation tax return in FreeAgent, we want to make sure that you can file it from the place you want, and you don't have to manually lift and shift your trial balance or whatever it is. So that's absolutely fine for us, and that integration strategy that we've had the last couple of years and developed out that space has allowed us to continue to do that. But you're absolutely right. The FreeAgent is as much a business tool to these sole traders as it is as an ERP or a ledger product, and so they do their invoicing there, they do their time tracking there, they do their projects there. So when they're like, well, my tax return says it's filed from FreeAgent, what's gone wrong? I completely understand that. There's definitely something we can do around that. But yeah, it is a business tool, especially to this MTD sized cohort.
Amazing.
You can mark it as filed, actually, even if you haven't filed it from FreeAgent. If you filed it elsewhere, you can mark it as filed. So the client won't necessarily.
That the hard way. That the hard way. Okay, let's go on to the main part of this particular show then. So this is our chance to showcase the next version of software that we want to do. We had Sam on last week talking about how Sage has how she believes it's got a really good opportunity for us to be using Sage for MTD purposes. And spoiler alert, next week we've got QuickBooks as well, going through from there. But obviously this week has to be given the limelight for FreeAgent. And I think I want to start with what I believe is your biggest USP and the bit that I absolutely love about FreeAgent, and definitely one that from some of our client base we're going to be utilizing. And that's that deep integration you have with Metal. So anyone who doesn't know, Metal is do we still call them challenger banks? Is that still the right term? I suppose it still is, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. Or neobank.
Yeah, that's a better term, isn't it? But yeah, from the NatWest. But what I love about Metal is that you can get the client to put their transactions into your typical normal bank account. And if you've used any of the channel banks lately, you can't even make a payment without categorizing as it's there, etc., etc. But that information then flows beautifully into FreeAgent. And I've got a handful of clients where they will never touch FreeAgent. They don't need to touch FreeAgent. They're happy with just using their bank account and off to the races they go. You must be quite happy with that as a solution, because from an MTD point of view, it's one of the perfect marriages you can have, right? Your bank and your account and your bookkeeping going ahead. So like working together. So from your point of view, do you want to kind of give us a bit of a breakdown of how what your strategy for MTD has been and going through from there, and really talk to us about how that whole idea of Metal and everything came together, because I generally think that's a huge USP for you.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I think the first thing is when you were saying that the most important thing, I wasn't sure what you were going to say, which is nice because there's a few things that it might be. So, but yeah, absolutely. I think this is the one that kind of comes up the most. So for anyone that's not aware, FreeAgent is owned by the NatWest Group. We have been for the best part of 5 or 6 years, but we are operationally independent. So they're not really involved in anything that we do at our kind of my level anyway. And what it means is we have for sister companies, NatWest, Royal Bank of Scotland, and Metal, as you said. And what we've essentially developed is the two-way sync of data between FreeAgent and Metal and NatWest. But the number one value that we see, especially in the MTD space, is that people use personal bank accounts, and that causes problems. Like just generic sentence like that in running business, and being able to give a business bank account and an accounting software with all the bells and whistles like FreeAgent. We don't have those tiers of you need this for that and this for that. Is an incredible proposition, as you touched upon, Aaron. So that's good, but we wanted to take it a step further. And we've done a few more things. So the bank categorization sync is two-way, as you touched upon. So it's the same nominal codes that you see in Metal as you see in FreeAgent, and then it works both directions. Same with kind of attachments in that. And there's a couple of other elements. So in FreeAgent, before HMRC said, we're doing your tax calculations under MTD, and it will be FreeAgent that did the calculations, we had a very nice USP called the tax timeline, which we still have today, which gives you all the tax dates upcoming, all the amounts, and we actually show that inside NatWest and Metal as well. So for those clients that you refer to there, Aaron, they have this is how much tax you owe, these are all your deadlines, and they are all powered by FreeAgent, and you can link into them and then go away to FreeAgent and see the full breakdown and all that kind of stuff. So the bank categorization and that. And then there's things like pots, which are coming very soon on the roadmap there, so that if you've got stuff in Metal, you put money aside, you also get it aside in FreeAgent. And again, it goes back to the topic of being your business, the place where you run your business. I think ideally, I touched upon this off air, I was a small business owner before I worked here many moons ago, and I really wanted like one solution or one ecosystem to do everything for my small business. I didn't want 10 apps doing different things. And I think our strategy there is to make the Metal into FreeAgent or the NatWest into FreeAgent or whatever of the companies you're using feel seamless, that you can just be in one and everything can output into the other. So that's been our strategy around that. And it's been great for growth. I mean, absolutely tremendous. And maybe if I can, slightly outside of the MTD sphere, it's been tremendous for growth because you get FreeAgent for free through this offering. We are now seeing businesses of a much larger size use FreeAgent. And so our company position has changed in the last couple of years to be building more features for practices probably for the first time, if you think about kind of FreeAgent's history and who we were for, and allowing those larger businesses to be supported in FreeAgent. So management reports came this year as a really prime example of medium-sized companies going, I need some help here, or our accountants saying, I need some advisory services that you can provide. And so that's kind of a solution there.
And Amy, you wanted to talk about CIS, didn't you? Do you want to go for that one?
Yeah. So just before that, I'm a metal user. Love metal. I was NatWest, and then it got to the 2 years, and then I was like, I'll switch to metal. It's great. I didn't know about the tax timeline being within the metal app. Oh, there you go. I didn't know about that. I've got clients that use it, that do the invoices and just have the metal app on their phone. But I didn't know that was through, so I'll be looking at that afterwards. CIS, yes, I've been rather resistant in recommending a product to my CIS clients, just in general, because I've struggled with their mobile apps. I've got clients that are using another one that I have another software that hasn't the app, but has to use the desktop, and mess. So when CIS came out, thank you. Thank you for that.
You're more than welcome.
That's something that I've really, at the start of the year, I was like, do metal, do NatWest, do FreeAgent. Because I've got loads of clients that don't have business bank accounts, and still to this day, because that's the free solution for you, and it's going to work. So now the CIS is on it, it's definitely going to add that extra element that I need for a lot of my subcontractors that are falling within this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the CIS was born out of two reasons, really. One is because there's aren't very many verticals that you can look at FreeAgent and say they're absolutely not suited or suited to, but they don't have the full rounded support. And it always felt like the trades was so perfect for FreeAgent, but we missed this element over here of the contractor side. So rounding that off was definitely a push. But it also goes back to doing things for practices, because it was one of the main requests we would hear from our partners is, it's great that you've got sub-As, I can use you for CIS, but as soon as they become contractors, I need to find a different solution. And to someone like me on the product side, hearing I need to use a different solution is I am listening to what you're saying. It's been fantastically well received, if I'm honest. I think we were, as I kind of said off, a little bit later to market on the contractor side. So we benefited from spending time with partners like yourself to look at the competition, to find out what works well, what doesn't work well, and integrate it into the best way for FreeAgent. So I'd hope that our solution is as flexible as it can be, so that if the mistakes are made, you can correct them, but also put you on the right path, so you're not having to understand what CIS is. If you are a CIS contractor, essentially, you kind of want to make it seamless and feel natural. So we are seeing a really tremendous adoption from our CIS product, which is great.
Good. And it's good timing, because it's giving people the chance before April as well to have a look, get it working for them, and perhaps do more themselves. I'm not up for getting rid of work, but we are going to be busy. We know, we've been saying throughout this series, we're going to be so busy. So if people have the ability to do their own sales invoices,
and the sales invoices for the I've got a CIS subcontractor on FreeAgent, and it's so easy for him to do his sales invoices. Some of them fall under CIS, some of them don't, and it's just a very, very, very simple. Showed him how to do it once, was bracing myself for a mess, and he's just been absolutely 100% fine with it. And
I think the mobile app plays into that as well, I think, Suzannah, in that we keep the mobile app very much meant for the simplicity of on the go. So it's really powerful. It's like underappreciatedly powerful, but designed to be so simple to use when you are, as we heard numerous times, in your van after a job was kind of the time that a lot of it gets used. So simple invoice creation without having to kind of go into a web browser to do all this kind of stuff.
One thing I do wish, while we're on the mobile app, is that we as bookkeepers and accountants could have some sort of overview of what that looks like from the client perspective, because that's one thing. Sometimes when a client will say, how do I do this on my app? And I'm like, I don't actually know, because I've only got the version on my PC. So that would be just a little bit of feedback there.
Absolutely. And it's very, very fair feedback. We've got a few, I don't know if we want to go into this now, we can go into this later, but there's a few things coming in FreeAgent for MTD specifically. And by that, I don't mean new income sources, but I mean the ability to manage your clients as a practice, when your clients are an MTD, that are coming down the road that I'm happy to go into detail in a bit when it's appropriate.
Having said that, I must admit, I'd actually, because it is so intuitive for them to use, I don't actually get that many questions on that kind of thing. So, but I just, from my point of view, I'd like to be able to see what it looks like.
And I know, Suzannah, you want to talk about rental, but before we go into that, let's just make sure we go to our community. Kieran says, could listen to Stu talk all day. I wonder if that's down to the accent or
I don't know. Maybe it's Scott. I'll take it. Scottish.
Very good. Paul Whitehouse says, hi all, I'm in the process of setting up with FreeAgent. Not dip my toes in the platform yet. Well, you're going to love it, Paul. Trust us. Hoping to get going in October after my holiday. Well, first of all, enjoy a holiday and then enjoy FreeAgent. Amy Hancock loved the hashtag audit. Amy Neal, getting a lot of love there. So loving that one. LinkedIn user though. So yeah, there's a way you can bring that in, but if not, just
give permission to StreamYard or something, don't you? Yeah,
that's the one, isn't it? And Paul says, my question for Stu is, how much do the team at FreeAgent go with the NatWest Metal integration? Do you assist with transferring DDs, for example?
So we don't assist with transferring that at the moment. There's definitely longer term plans to do more, but only if it's solving real customer problems. I think that's the thing that we keep coming back to. We could do loads of data sync, but if it's really not that valuable for the businesses using it, then we're not going to go there. I do think the world of accounting and all these kind of apps is moving to a closer ecosystem. So I can definitely see us doing things like, if you, need a loan because your bank balance is at a certain time, then we can help you with your process of creating that because we have that backlink. Or maybe we use them NatWest for powering payments inside FreeAgent. These things are definitely ideas, but there's no kind of concrete plans to rip anything up and change it at the moment.
Amazing. Suzannah, do you want to go into your question you had about the rental?
Yeah, so obviously FreeAgent has its own specialist landlord kind of module, which is great. And I use that for one of my landlord clients. And again, it works really, really well, really easy, even with like multiple properties and stuff. What I don't have is a client who has jointly owned properties on FreeAgent. So I just wanted you to sort of tell us a little bit about how that works.
Of course, yeah. So there's two features that we've done in the last wee while that have been so simple yet so powerful, and this is one of them, so I'm delighted to talk about it. So the way that we do this is if you've got multiple users, which you can add, like no extra cost for as many users as you want, or as many properties as you want, you're able to set global property defaults and then override them as individual property defaults. And what I mean by that is, let's say me and you are both users on a FreeAgent landlord property. We can go in and say, for all the properties, it's 50% your ownership, 50% my ownership. And then on an individual property, I can go in and say, actually, this one's 100% Suzannah, this one's 80-20. And what we do is every time any ledger is posted against that property, we apportion that percentage to your basically your MTD area. So you have got your income, your expenses, anything against that property will go, it's against property A, there's an 80-20% split, put 80% on Stu's tax area and 20% on Suzannah's tax area. So the bank reconciliation...
Does that mean, sorry, when it comes to doing the MTD submissions and even the tax return, are we going to be able to submit for both owners if there's a joint ownership through FreeAgent, or do we need a separate license for each one? How's that going to work?
Yeah, so you're able to submit through the same license as long as both users can log in as if you're any users. We've already got people going through beta doing this. So we've actually got 3 individuals on an account. They've all got different individual property ownership splits, which is great for testing as well. But they've gone through this for real. And they all log in, they all see their own self-assessment area. If you're kind of a high-powered user, you can see the other people as well, but at this stage, they can all see their own. You see the percentage split for each property, and you can see all the stuff tagged against that property, but then you see your own splits from that. And so we've essentially taken the categorization element away of having to say for every bank transaction, how much of this is Suzannah's, how much of this is Stu's, just put it at the higher level and everything
just put it to that property, and it will automatically...
So as long as
I've
you're,
got one that's going to be starting with the joint
yeah,
property, so yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah, as long as it's set up correctly at the start with that split, then everything else should work as simple as if it was just a one person thing. And yeah, incredibly powerful, but actually really simple when you explain it like that, I guess.
Cool. That sounds good.
It's interesting you've gone down that route as well, because I know competitors are definitely going down the line, and they've tried to blame it on HMRC. They're like, well, HMRC will only allow it this way, which clearly it's a case of they built it one way, and because the HMRC's forced them down that route because of the way it was built, right? So it's really interesting that you've been able to kind of cook such an elegant way, because these are the use cases that are going to make or break how successful MTD is going to be, right? Like, this is where we've got the complexity of having multiple people involved in rental and everything else that's going to go from there. And I think this is where props to you guys is at the moment is the vast amount of updates, because on Ask the Accountant we're bringing you up every month, it seems like, with update here and update there, and like you mentioned about the management accounts just coming through, but you've just released the opportunity to do it on Excel, right? Like they're the kind of little incremental upgrades that we love to see, updates we love to see. Is this kind of for you? Do you feel like this is where you've kind of got that advantage, where you can be that little bit more agile than some of your competitors, where like you've just explained there, such an elegant way of being able to deal with a massive problem we've got in the industry at the moment? Do you feel like that's one of your big kind of USPs at the moment?
Absolutely. And I think it cannot be understated how great it is for any software to react to customer feedback quickly and change it. And that is what we pride more than anything else at FreeAgent. And we spend so much time with our customers. It is crazy. And we react quickly. We have long-term strategies, but we are fully flexible. And this comes down from our founders who built the software to use themselves, that we have that wiggle room to react where it needs to be. And it's definitely a USP. I'd love to, on some days, I'd love to sit here and have the budgets that some of our competitors have, where you could add a couple of zeros into the number of engineers that they have. But it does slow things down, and we're able to, like, we massively punch above our weight. We shouldn't have been the first to get MTD ready and be submitting it from space based on the kind of people we have, but we're able to do that because we move quickly. And we do quite a bit in-house as well, which is another USP in this area. So our open banking infrastructure for all of our bank feeds is built by FreeAgent and managed by FreeAgent. And so that means we can do things that you can't, because other parties use third parties to manage their open banking infrastructure. So, for example, another powerful addition is you can update your client's bank feeds in bulk with a single click, because every 90 days you need to update them. But if you go into your dashboards, you see all your clients, one button, it refreshes them all bank feeds in one go. No one else can do that because we built that in-house. So there's a few bits there that we can do because we do it ourselves.
Amazing. And before I move it on to Amy and Suzannah for their next questions, but my next question will be that relationship you have with Metal and that relationship we have in NatWest. I assume with RBS as well, but I've never been able to test it to find out. Is that, do you reckon with open banking and with you kind of, like you said, you've got your own proprietary open banking solution, is that something you feel like could happen with other banks later down the line? Or is that just it's a perfect marriage, you own both ends, so that's why you can make it work? Or do you think one day with an MTD world, with an open banking world, which we were kind of promised, you guys have been able to deliver it because you own both ends? But do you see that ever happening going forward? Do you think the likes of a third-party bank, for example, could provide that information to FreeAgent? Is that a future we can see one day, or do you reckon it's never going to happen?
I think it will, Aaron. I really hope it will, not just from a FreeAgent perspective, but from a consumer perspective. I think open banking should have been it was promised as the gift to an embedded finance to make everything seeable by everybody and the consumer wins. We're not there. I think we will get there, and it will be brilliant when we do. All the software vendors will have to adapt, but I don't think having closed gardens, as we call it, is the way to win in the world. I think by opening up your API and your ecosystem and stuff, like FreeAgent's API is completely open, anyone can integrate into it, is the way to win. And then you pull on your other USPs to win customers, rather than saying, this is mine, no one else can get to that. So I reckon we'll see more banks getting involved with that, but there's still a lot of tech change that needs to happen behind the scenes in this world for that to be a reality.
Interesting. Well, that's positive to know that there's a chance for it, because that was the promised light at the end of the tunnel for going open banking, wasn't it? Going for there. Amy, do you have a question you want to bring in next?
Yes, I got a couple. So one was on the tax timeline. We spoke earlier about being able to mark that tax returns are submitted in other softwares. Will we be able to do the same with the quarterly filings?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can use FreeAgent for your quarterly updates and then file through another system, and vice versa. You can do the opposite. Okay. So it's all fully flexible.
Perfect. And just something on the going back to the property that you mentioned, and Suzannah said about having the one license for everyone that was in the joint properties. So we can submit independently through that one license. Oh wow, I was under the assumption we might have to get different licenses.
So you're able to independently submit your landlord data if you're a sole trader and a landlord.
That was my next question. Actually, I was going to say, if you've got more than one income stream, are there plans that we're going to be able to combine that in one license somehow, or do we need two separate licenses still?
So it's always going to be two licenses, but there are plans to bring that much closer together so you can see them consolidated, essentially. But yeah, there are two licenses, and it is not how everyone else has done it. I personally am very biased, but think it's a far better way of keeping everything cleaner and your property.
It's quite nice to keep it separate. I wouldn't want them doing sole trader and then having property income and expenses all going through one bank account. So in a way, if we're keeping that separate, I think it makes sense to have the licenses separate.
Yeah, and I'm really keen to hear. I expect keep my ear to the ground a lot on our competition, but a lot of the things I hear about is the having to tag things separately, different individuals. Is it property or is it sole trader income at the bookkeeping level every time? Hasn't been received that well yet in the market. Really maybe it will be, but
unless it's very, very simple, straightforward, there's not lots of categories, you can just see it going wrong, can't you? But moving on from that, connected to that, you can't currently, I believe, open two metal business bank accounts as a sole trader and as a landlord. So that would be good if that could be something that could change. At the moment, I've got one that's doing a metal, and then they've gone for a NatWest as well. So it's there's still a decent solution.
Yeah, my understanding is that is their next thing, is landlord metal accounts. I can't speak for them. I don't spend enough time with metal directly to be able to do so, but that's certainly my understanding is that's the next thing off the rank.
That would be great. So then one person could have two metal bank accounts for their different income streams, which would be brilliant.
Essentially, and free, and I think that's the bit that you've got to tag onto the end of there. That, like,
and free. I mean, that's such a bonus. But even just from the point of view of them being used to doing things in one bank account and how that looks, having to. I mean, it's not a massive leap, I suppose. We're kind of babying these people a little bit, but I just had a client just set up a new NatWest business account, and they found that much harder than when they set up their metal business bank account, for example. So it just would be nice just to be able to be consistent with it, I suppose.
It is different. I've had the same situation, Suzannah, with my landlord that has joint different shareholdings of everything. So he's done the metal, but he's also sole trader. So he's done the metal as a sole trader. NatWest as the landlord, has the one license. I think he might have put his sole trade bank account in the license, which I need to then go and check to say, go and get another. We need to set up the other one, not him. We need the bank details. We set it up, so we've got access. Yeah. So they are completely then independent, which does make sense. And actually, when you think about it, there was always this multiple property sole trader as well, or this fear for months and months. When actually, when you talk about it, Stuart, it just makes sense. Just separate bank accounts, separate licenses, because they are separate submissions. Keep it simple, and that's probably why so many people are doing it themselves, probably more than what I certainly thought, because you have made it simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you look outward on the market, there's a couple of other of these neobanks bringing their own accounting side into their banks, right? Because it makes so much sense. As a customer, as a business owner, you want everything really to be as slick as possible. And that Venn diagram is almost a circle now between accounting and banking at times.
Yeah.
We were talking about the other day, weren't we, with MTD and on MTD Watch, how there was a shake up of a particular software being bought, etc., wasn't there? We won't bring it in, and I generally believe it's because they've seen what good you guys have done with the integration and stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if more will be brought up going forward. Kirsty asks the following, and it's a follow-up for what Amy says there. Is there/will there be a log that it's been submitted, and by when and by whom? So this is about you saying there about the fact that for quarterly submissions, we're going to get the opportunity to say mark as filed. Is there going to be some sort of log or anything? And if I could add a follow-up on that as well, is there a chance, or is there an opportunity for this to be on a holistic view as well, not just on an individual?
Oh, that would be nice on the dashboard.
Lovely. This leads me into what's kind of coming next. So the next, until April does, because we're so ready, the next kind of runway to April is the things we're adding around MTD for practices, essentially. So there's kind of a few main things. The two main ones are on the dashboard. We're adding the view of all clients and all their users and all their tax deadlines. So essentially like the tax timeline, but on the dashboard, so you can see who's due, who's upcoming, who overdue, all that kind of stuff is as a single view that we've never consolidated before into a single place. We've always kind of relied on you to go into each client or to keep that in your practice management suite. So we're bridging that gap, which is should be live in the next couple of months, maybe a month.
Just to clarify on that, is it possible, because it's been a question I've always asked on this one, is it possible that you'll be able to see non-FreeAgent client in that list, or is it just the FreeAgent? Because it seems to be difficult to anyone to give us an answer if HMRC will even provide you a list of who you've got on your old 64 agent, whatever we're calling that, agent services account, right? So is this going to be just the FreeAgent ones that you've got the account set up for, and it's kind of linking and bringing those data in, or is it possible that we can see non-FreeAgent ones as well?
So for launch, it's just FreeAgent, but we're definitely exploring that possibility. And I don't know the answer, Aaron. I don't know if we need to build into our competition to see that, or we need to build into HMRC to see that. I'm honestly not sure of the answer, but we're figuring that out now. So I will let you know if we get the definitive answer for that. So that's one feature. The second is adding different controls to our dashboard. So something we've never had is the ability for you to override our user permissions. But as of next month, we're bringing in essentially 3 new controls around self-assessment. So we're allowing practices to control who even sees self-assessment. So you can be any user level, but you can hide it if you don't want your clients to see it. Control if your clients can submit their own, even if they're connected. So you can just say, I know my client connected, but I don't want them to see the button. And then approvals. So we've got approvals in the end of year flow if you're filing your final accounts corporation tax, but we're bringing in approvals for self-assessment. So you can say, I want approvals on for my quarterly updates or off, on for my final declaration or off, again, at the dashboard level. And to Kirsty's point, all this will be in the audit trail. So whether it's got an approval on or off, or who submits it or what, will all be in our full audit trail, as well as the export after you make a submission. We'll have the who did it or not. So it's a big step forward for us. Again, it's building things for the practice to have full control and then full visibility, and then we'll roll that out from self-assessment to all our other compliance areas. So kind of making our practice tool far more of more robust. When you have all your clients on FreeAgent, or not all your clients on FreeAgent, when you have so many of your sole traders on FreeAgent already, you now get these tools.
Cool.
Amazing. And Kirsty's already come back with, hurrah, some others don't, so great news. So yeah, you already won over Kirsty then, so that's great news there. My next question, if you don't mind, is going to be around, and it's interesting, you kind of mentioned about your open API and that you have, the open API that's there, which is definitely a positive, right? But actually, I think your strength is that you have actually a curated list of partners that you work with, right? Like that there's a list there. It's not just this endless page and page and page and page. especially the ones that you've got a real good relationship with. You promote them and you push them, and it's kind of like both of you work together sort of thing, and you kind of looking to go there. And I think in the world of MTD, where we are crying out for help in terms of onboarding clients and getting information off them and all those other stuff that you're getting paid via Go Cardless and everything else that comes with all those partners that you have kind of there, they seem to be designed to help solve pain points that accountants and bookkeepers have got, right? Do you see that do you see any kind of future where more of those are going to come into play from an MTD point of view? That do you think there's any gaps or anything that you'd love to fill out or anything like that? I'd love to know what you think, because I don't think that's one of your biggest strengths. Again, is that curated list of partners. Like that, there's almost a trust there, right? Like if you've got this on your partnership page, we as accountants and bookkeepers can go, oh, there's someone to be interested in, because you're almost vetting them on our behalf, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the other hat I wear at FreeAgent. I'm our integrations lead as well. So I love a couple of lovely marketers and sales team as well, but I'm the product lead there. So yeah, that has been our strategy. When I kind of set this down a couple of years ago, it was very much like, we don't want an app store. We spoke to so many practices and business owners, and they don't want you to go in and say, I need X tool, here's 1,000 answers to your thing. They very much want a curated list, as you put it, of ones that are vetted, that are more of we call them partnerships. Don't really call them integrations, because we do so much more with them. And that is definitely paying dividends. We've got some plans to do some more in the product as well, because a lot of these need to kind of discover them outside the product, but then the value kind of comes in with syncs and stuff, but we want to kind of promote them in the product. But we are so comfortable with having between 1 and 3 in most of those verticals, because that's all you really need as a small business owner and as the majority of practices. So we have been very, very deliberate. I have said no as much as I have said yes in order to be that deliberate, and our testing is extremely robust. But we also, as you say, have a full open API, so we don't charge anyone to connect to FreeAgent, no matter what your usage is. We don't gate you from any parts, that if you're X tier, you can only get access to Y parts. We are very much a fully open API, and you can do what you want as long as the client kind of connects and all that stuff. So yeah, there are definitely areas where I think we can do better, and we are going to do better. And a lot of that is about bringing more of the value in the product. So on your accounts receivables, as you say, you've got Go Cardless, you've got Stripe, you've got PayPal, and you've got Till, which is NatWest's receivables there in the app. So that's 4. But on the payment side, we don't have that embedded solution yet, where you're in your FreeAgent area, that's just your business hub, and you go and pay your bill. So we're looking to bring a provider in there to help with that. But across the app stack, there aren't many gaps unless you get into verticals of usage. So you're kind of top of your tree. This client is in this really niche segment. You don't have an integration for that. That we will get there, but that's not really our priority at the moment. It's more about making sure practice management is covered, paying bills is covered, all these kind of areas. So I would say like maybe stock and inventory management. I don't think we've got a robust offering in this space. We've got a couple of providers, but we can maybe do more. So that's probably where we can go. But yeah, I think it's been the market has reacted so positively to how much more FreeAgent is doing there, because for 15 years we didn't have an integrations partnership strategy whatsoever, and now we do, and a lot of momentum behind it.
Definitely. And from an accountant's and bookkeeper's point of view, we definitely see that as now those doors are open, it becomes a more friendlier option for us to use, right? Like when it was a closed shop, it was a bit difficult for us to put many clients on there, but now you start to open up. That's great to see. Amy, do you want a final question, because we're starting to run low on time?
I actually don't have any further questions.
No problem.
Mine was all about CIS. You know how much I love CIS.
And we definitely brought them in. Suzannah, anything your end?
No, I don't think so. I think you've answered everything.
Amazing. Okay, well, I'll go down to mine then. Okay, this one, it's probably one of those ones where you can't say too much about it, or if there's anything in there at all. But what's your view? Because again, talking about strengths of FreeAgent from my point of view, I always find there's 2 different ways to approach, your bookkeeping solutions. There is, some of your competitors do allow your clients to add transactions without too much barriers of entry, and they can add transactions quite quickly. And then the idea is people like ourselves, accountants and bookkeepers, will then come and clean it up for them and get it ready to clean up. I would say your approach is more of a, let's make sure we get it right first time. There's kind of a lot of questions that are being asked before there's few restrictions here and there before you can actually add particular transactions, for example, directors' loans and things like that, right? Which is definitely a strength for yours, because it means that the data going in should be at a higher standard, if you like, as some of the other solutions out there. With that though, have you got any kind of plans to look into checking that data before and everything else? Because this quarterly submission's all great and stuff, but there's still that confidence thing, isn't there? There's still going to be a bit of, what confidence has the client got to press it? And I know, AI is the big topic at the moment and everyone's talking about AI and everything else, but that's one of the benefits AI is bringing to the table, right? Of having that check-in and everything else. Have you got kind of any plans, even if it's just like a checklist or something to do it? Or is there anything already built in just to give that confidence to clients and before they press submit?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Yes, we do. I think what we've seen with that is that much of the bookkeeping has been forced, or maybe not forced, to move to a quarterly cadence. And now we're going to see similar things with MTD. And so going from often a yearly cadence or shoeboxes, or just let the transactions feed in every day and then check at a year end, into a quarterly cadence, we've definitely got plans to bring that into some element of kind of check or checklist, or make sure that these things are right. And our solution is aimed to be agnostic of tax, I think. I think there's some solutions out there, ones you'll know very well, Aaron, that have fantastic kind of VAT checkers, and they use AI to do all this wonderful stuff for you. I think we're going to look a bit more agnostic, to just have like a general bookkeeping where you're at this date, and then it will make your VAT return, your income tax, everything far, far cleaner there. So that's definitely in our sights. It kind of goes along the lines of what I've said previously about, we want to make the MTD solution work in reality for practices. And we've talked a lot about the MTD and being the kind of filing element. For me, this isn't really about how do I add my additional income and how do I click the right buttons. It's about how do I get confidence in my bookkeeping regularly? How do I automate the bits I want to automate? And how do I check the bits that I need to check? And that is absolutely the top of our list of where we're doing the in-product development, to make sure that that's seamless, whether you're a small business owner or you're an accountant. So we did release this year our find and fix. You might find in the code, classify, all that kind of stuff, which again allows the changing of your nominal or your VAT rate or all that kind of stuff in bulk. And that's a great reactive tool. But now where we're looking is the proactive tool. So we've got the automation running to do all the stuff, but getting the confidence before you need to check or do the find and the fix element. So we're definitely trying to bridge that gap. And I think AI will come into it, although a lot of, when you peel back the layer of AI, it's really just bank rules and automation running, and it's not actually like smart learning in a lot of occasions. So I think a lot of it can be done quite straightforward by putting in these rules to say, if this, then that, and then we'll learn off the top of that. So yeah, that's coming for sure.
I love that. I think that's it. Any more questions, you guys? Anything coming to your head or anything?
No, I need to go and play.
Yeah.
with the CIS module, and certainly I've got quite a few sole traders that are going to be, and landlords that are going to be using FreeAgent from April. Get them signed up, get them ready, and make sure that they've got the right licenses.
I think one thing we're supremely confident in at FreeAgent is once you use it, you'll enjoy it. I think our software sells itself, which is absolutely the kind of our founders' mantra there. So, but if not, let me know and I can see what we can change, Amy. So let's keep this conversation open.
Thank you.
And as a trainer, I have to admit your training is really nice as well. Like, very much highly recommend people get their qualifications, their certifications through from there.
And the knowledge base is excellent as well. I have, the support as well. When if you can't find something on the knowledge base and it's something a bit out of the ordinary, that a little chat bot that goes off to an accountant and they come back with a proper answer, not from an accountant's perspective, not just from a sort of software support perspective. It's really, really helpful.
Yeah, we do our NPS surveys, Net Promoter Scores, every 6 months to get a feeling of where we are in the market, and they're always lovely. But the things that come top every time, top two every 6 months since FreeAgent existed, are the ease of use of the software and how amazing your support team and your content is to support people that they need to learn more. And it's definitely, again, another, I wouldn't say USP, because our competitors are pretty good in these spaces too, but the ability that we're all Edinburgh based, we're all in the office, that everyone's got accounting qualifications and you can speak to them and they're just like you is just lovely.
You've definitely won ICB friendliest software many times for a good reason.
Yeah,
you must be the record holder of that award.
They're the Ant and Dec. They're the Ant and Dec.
I think we're 6 from 7 or 7 from 8 or something like that. But yeah, we hire so rigorously on the people, not the experience. That's what we hire for. So yeah, I hope it shines through. The awards certainly get celebrated every year.
Brilliant. I'd love to know who won that one outlier there. That'd be really interesting to find out.
We'll have to find out. I can't remember.
Next week. Next week.
I should have made a joke like, well, we got them up on a dartboard over there or something, but I don't actually know off the top of my head.
That's Suzannah for next week. No,
it was Centre. Kirsty's just reminded me. That's right. It was Centre. Yeah.
I must just to add on to that support. I haven't used FreeAgent in the detail. I've done the training and everything, but that one client that wanted months ago that had the multiple properties and everything, it just ended up on a call for half an hour with a person going through it step by step.
Yeah.
And that's it. You've locked in now that client, and that example is now what I talk about with landlords that have different ownerships and loads of different properties. So that one-to-one communication that had does have an impact on the rest. So actually taking the time to spend one-to-one with people and actually putting them in the right direction. And I must admit, I have always found my account manager and all the resources and got a bunch of leaflets delivered to my office so I can hand them out.
Another thing that we can do, the onboarding process as well, that you've got kind of integrated for the client through us, and that works really nicely too.
Yeah, I think we are people first in everything that we do, and it's kind of cliche and jargon heavy to be like, oh, the culture is what makes FreeAgent, but it is all about the people, and outwardly as well as internally. And I'm glad that comes across. We're never going to move away from not having people on the end of phones.
Good.
And speaking of the end of phones, but maybe at the end of in person, I've ruined that segue. I assume you're at Manchester for Accountex at the end of this week. End of this month.
I'm doing a main stage talk, funnily enough, on MTD. So I will be there with a couple of our partners talking about FreeAgent and MTD.
Good. And also, I saw your roadshows are coming up. Is it next month as well?
Yeah, October is most of the road shows, and they've invited product this time, so I get to come along rather than it being sales doing all the stuff. So I'm going to be at a few of those.
Cool! I'll get to meet you in person then.
Oh, lovely.
Amazing. So yeah, highly recommend jumping in there. Just before we give you a chance to do a bit of a plug at the end, Stu, Paul says thank you. So thank you for joining us, Paul, as well. Mahul says thank you as well. So thank you for that. And Paul says, another Paul Whitehurst this time says, great to see so much positivity with FreeAgent. Too often it's a green versus blue 2-man race. Are you sure blue's in the race on this one there for MTD? I mean, we've not got to that showcase yet, so I don't know if they're actually in the race on this one. I think it is a
both of them are going to have boots to fill. I mean, come on, we started with FreeAgent. The two who mentioned, next couple of weeks, people need to have a look live, see what's going on.
Definitely. Well, Amy, Suzannah, anything you want to end with before we give the limelight to Stu to do a bit of plug-in? Anything you want to say or end the show on?
I'm very much. I'm locked away a lot this month. It's audit month for me on my December year ends. So I will be hopefully coming to Accountex Manchester. So nice to see everyone there, all the listeners there. Come and have a look. I'll probably be hanging around with Ask the Accountant at some point. But apart from that, I'll be locked away in my cupboard doing my audits. So see you in October.
And releasing podcasts because it's finally been released, hasn't it?
Yes, so Bean Counter was released last week. Another episode is coming next week. Less of the Lego and trainers, but we're thinking of starting something on LinkedIn, Lego themed, to fill LinkedIn with something a bit more positive.
Yeah, I was quite upset. I like my trainer that's there, but he didn't get, it was told it was rubbish. So anyway, Suzannah, anything you'd like to talk about, plug, anything like that?
I think my my podcast that I recorded with Natasha Everard, the Absolutely Bookkeeping one, is out on Monday, I think, and I'm talking about FreeAgent on it. So have a listen out for that. Yeah.
Love that. Definitely be keeping an eye out for that one. Kirsty says yes to the hashtag Lego. So yeah, we've got another one there. Stu, the floor is yours. Oh no, one final plug for me because we want to end on yours there. It's the 150th episode on Monday, so do join us for there. We have some big news to announce, and also we've got Caroline with us from Accountex to talk all things Accountex. So it'll be a very exciting show. But now the most important part of this show has to be Stu. Thank you, first of all, for giving us your time. But end the show on plug away, Stu. The floor is now yours.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. It's been a delight. Yeah, I think from my perspective, FreeAgent is ready for MTD now. I think it's, I'm very biased, but I think it's the best solution that you've got to try out there. And even if you're just trying these things, it's absolutely great to try something that's so easy to use. We think that FreeAgent is going to be super successful through this, and we've done so much in the last couple of years to change the perception so that you've got slightly larger clients that you can use with us as well. So fingers crossed it suits a load of your suite. But give it a whirl. And if you're not ready yet, we have so much marketing to support you through this on our website too. So go and check that out too.
Love that. And again, you said you filed it in space. So if you can do it in space, then
absolutely. Show the whole world we're ready.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you this time next week for a very exciting episode of the MTD Watch Series. Have a good week, all. Bye.
Bye.